So, how was the food? Was it okay? Say yes. In speaker terminology, we call this the graveyard shift, because you're all well fed, somewhat relaxed, and ready for snooze. But I certainly tell you, do not do that, because we've got something very, 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 very special coming up. It's a European premiere, and I'll make this super short and sweet. Boys and girls, I think, and we all believe, there's going to be a world-changing thing in artificial intelligence. It'll be unveiled today, now. Boys and girls, I would like to welcome on stage from the amazing Viv, Dag Kittlaus, and Adam Cheyer. Welcome on stage, Dag and Adam. Welcome on stage. We have to high five again. Sorry, that's the rule here. And high five. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah. Okay, great. Can everybody hear me? Okay, great. All right. Well, good afternoon, pioneers. You guys ready for a little fun? Come on, we can do better than that. All right. Well, we've been sitting in a room, a lot of folks, Adam and I and a lot of others, for about 3.5 years now, in the same room, working on a new project, and we're really excited to show it to you today. So, we're at 2016 now, and unless you guys were out last night and got really drunk and lost your phone, you probably all have a phone in your pocket right now, or in your purse, or whatever, downloading hundreds, thousands of apps, using it all the time, right? The app revolution. Turns out that between Android and Apple, the app system has, what, 1.5 million apps in Android and more than 1.5 million available apps in the Apple system. And Apple's, I think in the last year, people spent $20 billion in this paradigm, right? So this is, you might think to yourself, this is unstoppable. This is an unstoppable force. But if you look at history, history would suggest that you're dead wrong. Every 10 years or so, a new paradigm comes around that changes the game with how we interact with computers, and we think we're quite confident on what that next one's going to be. So intelligent assistants, we think, we believe very much so, and we're not alone in thinking this. So since Siri launched in 2011 with Apple, every other major tech company is now pouring billions of dollars into these intelligent assistants, right? This is a race for the single interface to the user. And this is what we're in now. But sort of lost into this, all of the media and the hype around assistants and bots and agents is a very important question to us. And that question is, what is it going to take to go from today's basic versions of this assistant and propel them forward into being something as powerful and ubiquitous as web browsers and mobile apps? What is it that's missing? So we've created a list. If we can get to the list, great. So this all seems sort of simple, but believe me, in practice, it's very difficult. The first thing is, we think that everyone will want one assistant, right? You don't want to have to think about ahead of time, which provider do I need to ask to do this for me, and how do I need to ask for that one? No, you just want to ask, right? And if you think app overload is a big deal today, wait until you're looking at hands-free devices that have 500 bots on them, and you have to try to remember all the different names of all these things, right? That doesn't scale. So you want one assistant. Of course, these assistants are going to get to know you, right? This is a natural part of this whole world, is that as you go through your life and you're using this, it's starting to remember your preferences. If you say, what should I do this weekend with my kids? It should know the kind of stuff that you'd like to do. Do I like aisle seats? Do I like window seats on planes? So on and so forth. It's going to be learning. And of course, You don't want to just, every time you're talking to a different device, you don't want to have it start over again. So you want your assistant to follow you to all these different devices. Last but not least, no single company in the world has the resources to plug in all of the different things and services that you want to do. And this is a big part of what makes Viv different that we're going to show you today. That this is all about third parties coming in. And we liken this to what happened with the iPhone when it launched in 2007. Apple launched with a few apps on it, like Stock and Clock and a few of the basic apps. But the real magic happened when they opened up the App Store. And that unleashed the creativity of the world to build whatever different kind of service that you wanted to. And that, we think, is a really, really special part of this. So think about artificial intelligence as sort of in the same phase as the iPhone was back in 2007 in the entire mobile ecosystem. So this is a big deal. You guys ready to see Viv? All right. Adam, take over. What we're going to show you today, by the way, is much has never been seen before on any other demo. We've only ever shown this once, but a lot of the stuff you're going to see today, no one's ever seen, so we're really excited about it, and we're crossing our fingers that it all works. I think it will. Take over.
Okay, pioneers. I'm going to be showing you today, previewing Viv on an iPhone. As we launch, you'll start to see Viv on many different devices. And for all those who have written in, yes, we have an Android version. It's beautiful. So as you watch this experience, the most important thing to consider is that everything that you see will be doable by yourselves, the developers. You will be able to create the domains, the use cases for your industry, for your capabilities, and do this in a Viv ecosystem. So let me show you a little bit what it looks like. We'll start with a simple query. Is my flight on time? So in this situation, Viv knows my context. It knows what flights it's booked or I've booked. And with a little bit of help from flight stats, it's gone out and answered my question. My flight is on time. Now let's ratchet it up a little bit and ask a more interesting question. Get me a one-way seat on a non-stop flight from JFK to San Francisco 3 days after next Friday.
A one-way scene.
Let's try that again. Get me a window seat on a one-way, non-stop flight from JFK to San Francisco 3 days after next Friday.
Whoa.
And just like that, it sorted and give me the best options to book. So,
come on, guys. That's pretty cool, right?
So I'm going to show you more, but I just want to take a moment to show you what's actually happening under the hood and how it works. I think it's pretty interesting. So this we see here is part of the Developer Center, which are the tools that every developer will have access to create new Viv experiences. I'm going to load up a previous query and actually run it live. And you will see exactly what is happening instantly. So the first step is once language comes in, the system needs to analyze it. And here it's figured out that for this request, the goal is to show me trip options. It knows that San Francisco is a destination airport, and it knows in this context, Friday is a day of the week and not a movie name or a band name, etc. But which Friday, which date am I booking on? It's actually not a Friday. It's 3 days after the following Friday. And so what happens, and this is really where the magic of our approach comes in, is in about 10 milliseconds, Viv has written a program with 41 steps that does all of the work to figure out what is the 3 days after the following Friday, to figure out what are airports that I might want to fly into near San Francisco, and so forth. And this is done instantly on every request per user. When you make a request to Viv, a program is being written for you with your preferences, your services, and the context that you bring to it. Okay, so let's just compare this with traditional approaches. Current software is usually written by a product manager who defines a few use cases, a programmer hardwires and hand codes the use case, and it's really not scalable. It's hard to handle every single possible thing that someone might say. Bot frameworks today, you have to code. If the user says A, respond by B, and then be ready for them to say C, D, or E. But it's just too brittle and not scalable. In this approach, this will combine capabilities from many services and write the program that you need. Okay, let's see some more queries, shall we?
All right, this is the fun part, by the way.
All right, what we're going to show you now is conversational commerce at speed. We believe this is the fastest way to get things done on any device in any way. So let's try a few. Send some lilies to my sister on Friday.
Wheelies?
Oh, let's try this again. Send some lilies to my sister on Friday. There's such an echo with this microphone. And so here we see some beautiful flower arrangements presented from our friends at proflowers.com. This one looks beautiful. And I'm going to buy it. It knows where my sister lives. It prepares the order. And just like that, flowers are prepared for delivery. Is there any other better way to choose and book and buy tasks? Thank you. Let's try another one. Let's keep going. When is M83 playing in San Francisco? So here we've integrated Ticketmaster. You might want to go out on the town, find what to do. I've asked for a specific band in this case. This looks great. Ticketmaster can go out, contact the venue, find available seats for me from their service live. Looks like there's available seats. Viv has learned my seating preferences. It's learned my ticket delivery preferences. And as I book it, it will go out, contact the venue, set aside seats for me. We've just bought tickets for the M83 show in San Francisco, live.
Who wants to go?
Come with me. Let's do a couple more. Send Michael $50 for dinner last night. Michael, my contact, and just like that, I have now transferred $50 to Michael in seconds, thanks to Viv and Venmo. Yeah. Okay, one I tried this weekend. How much for a ride to the Belvedere Museum? Oop, let me try that again. How much for a ride to the Belvedere Museum?
You gotta love live speech demos.
Yeah.
Always fun.
Okay, so it's, for some reason, not able to get my location. But this will be Uber, and it books live situations. So it's, okay, and let's try, we'll do one final request.
First of all, can anyone give us a ride to the Belvedere?
Thank you. Let's try one more good one. find me a nice hotel with a rooftop terrace and a restaurant on December 5th for 3 nights. It's not knowing my location for some reason. I don't know, maybe where the GPS signal can't get through the roof, perhaps?
Everybody, please turn off your phones. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Anyway, so what I wanted to show you, we'll stop here if it doesn't know where I am, it won't find hotels, but this is just a slice of the capabilities that Viv can create. And now what I'd like to do is show you the emails for the ones that we're able to book. So you can see live, this is all live, obviously. So we've booked our flowers, we've booked our Ticketmaster, we've booked Venmo. And so this is all live system in just seconds accessing the different services.
But because it doesn't know where we are, we have no place to stay tonight. So if anybody has an extra room, just raise your hand.
OK, so I just want to show you one last thing. Let's go back to the Developer Center. So as we showed, Viv can do in its showcase many different applications. But this is just a small slice of what it will be able to do, especially once you developers are able to get in and build your experiences. Let me show you a live look at the inside of Viv's brain. This is really the universe of capabilities that are actually encoded today within Viv. We can take a little bit of a closer look through this space. So let's zoom in to one area. So this is the set of things that Viv knows about time. And all of these concepts are able to be used by the dynamic program generation to create programs automatically. And as you developers add to this, the universe will expand and the set of capabilities will grow from there. OK, so back to Dag to summarize.
Great. Well, sorry about the location snafu, but that's live demos. The summary of this is that for you guys, ultimately, there's going to be a winner here. And we think you're looking at one of the contestants for that. But the point is that it's going to become the intelligent interface to everything for you. People are going to be talking to more and more. Speech is going to continue to get better. These systems are going to learn. They're going to learn all about you. And this becomes your sort of right-hand man. It's your assistant for life. And we think this is going to be a huge thing for individual users. But even a potentially bigger deal is the fact that this is going to be a new marketplace. This is going to be the place that developers go to build applications that aren't just available on your phone, but they're going to be available everywhere, right? So think about today's systems. You're not going to be downloading a piece of software to your refrigerator, probably. You're going to need all of this stuff in the cloud. And this is going to be a new marketplace for the world to plug into, to essentially access their service and any kind of information from any kind of device. So that's sort of the big next thing. And that is Viv. And we think one last way to summarize this is to say, when all this stuff happens in, let's say, 5 years or so, you look out there and you see these different icons that you recognize, like Bluetooth, like Wi-Fi. We think there's going to be another one. Adam? So when you see this sign on all of the devices in your life, that means I can talk to that thing. That means it's going to understand me. You're going to probably sign in with your thumb or some kind of authentication, but that means ultimately this is the vision that we see. In 5 years, you're going to see this sign everywhere. It's going to be like a utility, and you're going to be able to talk to everything, and that is the vision, and that's Viv. Thank you.
Okay.
But as a friend of mine used to say, there's one more thing. Adam, I'm going to let you take that away.
So today we're excited to provide an exclusive invitation to some of the amazing startups here at Pioneers.
Yeah. Could we switch that back? Thank you.
There we go.
There you go.
And so we're going to provide early access to 3 developers. We've never done this before. So today, Viv engineers have integrated web services from many different partners. But we're going to provide early access to 3 Pioneers startup companies. So if you think you have a use case that you would like to build and deliver through the Viv ecosystem, send an email to pioneers@viv.ai, explain the use cases that you're thinking of a little bit, maybe a paragraph about your company. We'll choose a few that we think are a good fit, and we'll work with you to do something amazing. So this is a very special invitation.
Join us. OK. Thank you.
Thank you. So,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Sure.
Now, I mean, that's not just, you said it's a special, but that's a really special opportunity, isn't it? I mean, long story short, so they'll be deeply integrated with you guys and get to reach your entire audience.
Thank you.
Wow.
So I hope they join.
Just maybe to give us a bit of a pointer, what are you looking for in special? Any hinters for the startups that might apply?
Adam?
So I think Viv is really about getting things done. As you saw, you can book, you can buy, you can schedule, you can reserve. Viv can handle complex tasks. And so if you have a website, if you have an app where you have content, you might have transactional services, and you really want to be able to reach new users through a new channel on many devices, maybe from TVs to in-car hands-free to phones to many more devices, Viv will be rolling out to all of these users. So if you've got use cases that can be conversationally enabled, we think would be a great fit for Viv.
Super, thank you. Next question is very popular, is how many startups will have early access to Viv before the launch near the end of the year?
So we're planning to choose 3. We're still in a beta stage with the developer tools, so those who join, be prepared, the documentation's not fully formed, and we want to work with you and get the experience just right. So we think 3 startups will be able to have the bandwidth to interact a little bit with you, answer your questions at this moment.
How's it different to Google Now?
So Google announced, Google Now was a Siri-like assistant with a search flavor, so it could answer many different questions, and a little bit of a proactive nature where it would try to guess what it is you wanted to see without asking it. And in the past week, they announced a new version called Google Assistant. We think it's really a fabulous product. But when you look at being able to open this to developers, the story for Google Assistant is still not yet clear. We're waiting to see what power they will give developers. But with Viv, everything that you see, every type of interaction that you saw, you can imagine, and you will be able to do through Viv.
Now, the most popular question, please.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, this is live when people are trying to bust us up here. They're seeing little details, and they're like, how is this working on airplane mode? That was the question.
So we were trying to imagine every possible interaction, and we said networking is the thing that always fails. So we've actually have a wired Ethernet into the phone directly, so that we don't have to depend on Wi-Fi. And when you do that, it will actually work. There's kind of a little-known feature in iOS. You can get wired internet through a phone.
Except it makes GPS turn off for some reason. I don't know why.
Sorry about the location.
Worked last night.
But well spotted, boys and girls. Well spotted and well prepared. How do you handle privacy issues and data security? Very popular European question.
So this is actually extremely important when you are thinking about opening up an assistant. Because opening up an assistant, you're giving third parties access to write integration code to achieve their tasks. And it's a really, really big and scary proposition, because I know you guys are all upstanding and fine developers, but there might be a developer out there who says, oh, send the credit card information to me and get steal the data from this other partner and send it to me, and maybe I'll return a result. So how do you stop that? We think dynamic program generation is the only good way to produce a scalable and guaranteed safe way, because no human is looking at that code, writing that code, and no third party is. It's the AI itself who calls out to each service, orchestrates the path, and ensures that only information that should be passed to a particular provider can be passed to a particular provider.
Here's a nice one as well. How will you handle several competing companies willing to fulfill the same order on your platform?
So ultimately, the answer to that is the user will choose. Right? So you can imagine that there will be questions, and there might be multiple providers that can handle it. And like any other, like when you have an app, you choose a certain app, the same sort of dynamic will be in play here. So ultimately, it's going to be a user choice. And of course, you have affinities to certain companies. You might have a frequent flyer program with one, or you're getting points on another. So there will be that sort of dynamic, and we have a kind of a secret way that we're going to be doing that. We're not going to be broadcasting, but that is essentially how it's going to happen, how it's going to work.
What's the secret?
I'll tell you later.
Awesome.
After party.
Fair enough. Oh yes, we'll do that. Well, that's a good one. Do you consider Facebook Messenger bots as your competitor? Messenger bots.
So I think there's going to be, I mean, every major tech company has some version of this, either out there today or in progress. So there's going to be a lot of people competing for this space, because it's really the ultimate thing to own in the digital space is a single interface to the user. We think people will start to gravitate towards this medium, and there's going to be all sorts of competitors trying to get it. So the big question is there going to be a few winners, a few brains out there that become dominant, or will there be thousands?
Here's a question I really think that's special. What happens if my wife starts to transfer money from my account to her account? Can it make a difference between voices? Number one, if that happens, you have other issues. But number two, what happens if someone says...
So obviously, authentication is super important on every device that you access, because once you access Viv, it knows who you are, and you want to make sure and authenticate that it's dealing with the right person. Because through Viv, it makes it frictionless to do many, many different things. So like you protect your phone, like you protect certain apps, like your bank account type things, you want to have login or appropriate authentication for Viv, no matter on what device you're working with.
In fact, I'd say a huge startup opportunity is going to be authentication of individual users through their voice. So if anybody's thinking about, I wonder what this great idea would be that's going to be really important over the next 5 years, get working on that one, because that's a good one.
So a device needs really 4 things to be a front end to Viv. We'd like to have a microphone or some input. We'd like to ideally or optionally have a display, but that's OK. We can speak back to you without a display. We need authentication, and most importantly, we need location. Just kidding, from the demos today.
Now, here's one question that's bobbing up the whole time. Is Viv only available in English at this point? Probably.
So we're starting today, we're focusing on the North American market, because the partnerships that we've integrated today are thriving there. But we see Viv as a global paradigm. And what's great is that as we open up the developer ecosystem, developers themselves can port a new domain to a new language, can add a partner that's relevant for that locale into Viv. So Viv does not have to do a lot of work as it moves to a new language or a new environment.
In fact, it doesn't speak English. It speaks something that we call intent, which can be taught in pretty much any language. So that's sort of one of the secret sauce that we have.
There's one question here is, how about autocorrect? Will we be able to use it in simple queries?
Definitely, Viv is still early, so we will gain additional data that will improve correction and as we go forward. Sometimes it will autocorrect. If you're on a phone, it can use your built-in autocorrect. If you're driving in your car and speaking, it'll be a voice interaction, so autocorrect's not relevant in that that use case.
This question is special. Can Viv be given traits from legendary people or heroes? When booking a hotel room, it books the owner a room in a hotel where that legendary person slept. That's creepy.
Why not?
That's a great question. So yeah, I want to be in the room where so-and-so did that. So today, our hotel provider doesn't have that option, but again, great startup opportunity. Develop that capability and that service. You will be able to integrate that into Viv, go viral, and all the users will be sending you business.
Yeah, Viv can do whatever the developer decides to let it do. So there's really not a limitation when it comes to that.
What programming language powers the product?
So that's interesting at different levels. Internally, we have an AI engine, which we use in Java. To developers, we're really targeting people who can build a web app or an iOS app. So we would like you, as a developer of Viv, to know JavaScript, and we'll basically a little bit of HTML, CSS, so things you know on the web today, and we will make it easy and teach you everything you need to know to build natural language, dialogue, and interactions, and context, and machine learning. We have GUI tools that make that very easy. So basically, we ask you come with JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and we will show you how to do the rest.
We're quickly running out of time, maybe two very quick questions. Number one, how about Raspberry Pi? And number two, when we will have a public API, maybe to close on those two questions.
So the devices we have not yet announced beyond showing on iOS and saying we do have an Android version. We have not yet announced which distribution partners and devices we will make available. But the vision, the goal, is to be available on every device to access every service, one assistant personalized just for you. So I don't see why not.
Awesome. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
You.
Boys and girls, Viv, Adam and Dag, keep an eye on that. This is going to be super exciting. Thank you so much, gentlemen.